This video is dedicated to James Humphreys. James, thank you. Mangara the Diplomat versus Ayara, First of Locthwain, Radha, Heart of Keld, and Yasova, Dragonclaw. That's not an incredible start for us. Can we really just wait until turn 4 and do nothing before then? I don't think so, not against a couple of green players. Let's get rid of that and try again. Yeah, that's slightly better. Yeah, I think we can keep that one. As you can probably tell by the cards that are in our hand, this is a token-based build. We do have Soul Sisters type stuff in here as well. And we can also win with Approach of the Second Sun, so we'll have to watch out for that one. Because we do have plenty of card draw in this deck as long as we can stick our commander. Anyway, already getting things off on turn 1 with a Wild Growth, which is from the 7 Deadly Sins. He should know better than to run white bordered cards. Yeah, we have to put these white bordered cards on the ban list. Also going in for a Mana Crypt into Swiftfoot Boots, and wow, another piece of fast mana in Sol Ring from the mono black player who goes into Expedition map. That will likely be either Cabal Coffers or Urborg, I would think. We get into another land. If there's one thing you need to worry about in a white deck, it's mana struggles, but at least we can make a land every turn up until turn 5. Just a tap land from Yasova, being played by Valdrieg, by the way, patron of the channel. And then the 7 Deadly Sins has played out Radha, as well as a Ghost Quarter, Swiftfoot Boots onto the Radha, and swinging in over at the mono black player. I was joking about the white bordered card, by the way. A lot of people take what I say about white bordered very seriously. And then we've got Ayara, First of Locthwain, who is being piloted by a random on Magic Online. And a turn 2, Dread Presence. I don't think they'll struggle to get swamps into play. So they'll either be able to drain someone for 2, or draw a card and lose a life. Anyway, we're going in for a very slow Arcane Signet. Nature's Law from Yasova. Vesuva coming down for the Gruul player. That becomes a copy of Tiger. And then down to 4 cards in hand. Oh dear, and that's an overloaded Vandal Blast. Okay, so now going in at the Teamer player. A Swamp comes into play for the mono black player. They decide to draw a card and go up to 5. We may well see their commander. And there she is, Ayara, First of Locthwain, second commander of the game to come down. And then deciding to hold back the Dread Presence, we get into an Ancient Tomb. So let's get down our Mangara and see if we can get ourselves into some cards this turn and try and draw into some ramp. I'd be very tempted next turn actually to strip mine this thing, seeing as how it was quite a splashy play from the Vandal Blast player. But I don't know if I want to go down any lands just yet. So let's see if we get a third commander in a row from the Teamer player. We do not. That is Avalanche Riders, and I think that is Destroy a Land, isn't it? Yes, it is. And they destroy that for us, so that saves us going for a strip mine. Don't actually mind that after the Vandal Blast, to be honest. Plus this Gruul player ought to be some kind of lands matter deck, if not just a massive ramp deck of some kind, because Radha does care about the number of lands that you have in play with that last ability. So I would think that Sins would be able to get into a bunch of lands. Another land coming out in the form of Yavimaya Hollow, down to 1 card in hand, seems pretty risky. That is their second spell, so we get into Castle of Ardenvale. And they also have Dryad of the Elysian Grove out now, which will fix their mana. Going for an equip onto Radha. So none of us can block very well here. Going in at the mono black player for more commander damage. We haven't received any yet, luckily. And then we're back over to the mono black player. Another swamp coming down, and again they draw a card with the Dread Presence. Followed by Erebos, Bleak-Hearted. I'm glad it's not the other Erebos, because we do want to gain life in this deck. And again, they hold the creatures back. I think we will get another Plains into play. We do have Emeria in this list, so the sooner we can get up to 7 Plains, the better. Yeah, I think we go for Cathars Crusade and set up for Benevolent Offering. We'll be able to go Benevolent Offering and give this player a bunch of creatures. Yeah, I think we're definitely teaming up with Valdrieg in this one, assuming that the board doesn't change too much. Certainly don't want to give a bunch of tokens to the mono black player anyway. Valdrieg not paying the echo cost on Avalanche Riders. And then this turn going for Solemn Simulacrum, which I'm sure they won't mind if Radha swings into. And then they get themselves into Field of the Dead as well, which they are only 1 land away from currently. So I'm not too sure who to give the tokens to after all now. The 4/4 Radha with First Strike, Hexproof, Lifelink and Trample going back in at the mono black player. This thing's indestructible, so I'm not sure what the plan is for them here. I mean, they can gain life and regenerate it with the Yavimaya Hollow. But surprisingly, the mono black player just decides to not block at all. I think I definitely would have blocked with this thing there. Anyway, going for a buff, and that is 16 points of commander damage that they're going to land on this black player. They could have blocked 6 of it. Then Ghost Quarter going on to Field of the Dead from the Gruul player, which will allow them to go for a basic, but it gets rid of Field of the Dead at least, so I think we're still giving them some tokens with the Benevolent Offering. Over to the mono black player's turn, who makes a 5th swamp in a row, so not struggling to get themselves into swamps, although ironically this thing will get them closer to swamps each time you play one, so it'll help keep you in lands in a certain way. They're down to 23 life though. Are they going to play 2 spells this turn is the question. Well, if they are, they're going to swing in first. The Dread Presence and the Erebos going in at the Gruul player. They can block with this thing onto the Dread Presence and let the Erebos through. It'll only take them down to 39 though. Okay, and again, blocks not being made there, surprisingly, so yeah, that's a couple of turns there where some blocks weren't made when they could have been. Obviously players are worried about losing their stuff. Maybe this could have been given -1/-1 by the black player and therefore being killed off by this. Anyway, Ayara getting rid of the Dread Presence in order to draw a card, so we might be seeing a board wipe here. No, not going for a board wipe. It is a Whip of Erebos. I'm surprised this player has tapped out there because 5 more damage from the Gruul player and they're done for. So yeah, seems like a pretty risky one to me. Anyway, we're going to get in another Plains. And I think we just go for the Benevolent Offering. It is an instant, but if we do it here, then this player has a chance to swing in and they'll deal some damage to either one of these players. So we gain 2 life per creature we control. And we get 3 spirit tokens, as does this player. Difference is we've got a Cathars Crusade, so we get some 4/4 Flying Angels. And then we'll hold up the Path to Exile as well. Unfortunately, 1 mana short of the Teferi's Protection. Argument to be made for us just going for Midnight Haunting there. But we'll definitely go in at the 7 Deadly Sins and we'll gain ourselves some life here. Our commander is currently a 5/7 with lifelink. Null Mage Advocate, return 2 target cards from an opponent's graveyard to their hand to destroy an artifact or enchantment. That may well go on our Cathars Crusade. And then just tapping out and passing the turn, 3 cards in hand for Val. And the spirits aren't as useful as they might be thanks to the trample over here from the Radha player. I wonder if they can get a +1 buff onto their commander to take this guy out. Oh, and of course, this thing buffs itself, doesn't it? I think I mentioned at the end of the black player's turn if they could get a buff on its power, but of course they can with the 6 mana, so they can take the black player out here if they want to. Oh, Hunter's Prowess. Yep, so that is 7 damage. Let's see if they want to take a player out. They are going to refill their hand, and we can't go for Path to Exile thanks to the Swiftfoot Boots. They are taking a player out while they've got the chance. They can regenerate their commander still as well, so even if someone has a board wipe, they'll struggle to get rid of Radha. Yeah, so a strange one that. Not sure why they didn't block with the Erebos when they had the chance. That would have saved them here. They could have had their Erebos untapped that turn and the previous turn as well. The previous turn it was untapped, but they decided not to block, so... yeah, some strange plays being made there by the black player. They could have stayed in the game a lot longer. But it's just down to the three of us from the Discord. Into Gaia's Cradle now. Luckily, only 2 creatures in play. And it is a Mina and Den. That is the second spell they've cast this turn, so we will draw a card with Mangara. Getting into another Plains. And then they get to play another land thanks to the Dryad, so that is Skarg the Rage Pits, which gives trample and +1/+1. Alright, Oketra's Monument I quite like. We can play the castle, but we won't be able to tap it if we go for the Oketra's Monument, so let's just go for a Plains. Let's go for Oketra's Monument, and then we're holding up either Midnight Haunting or Teferi's Protection, and we've got the Path to Exile as well. So let's go in with all of these at the 7 Deadly Sins. Unfortunately, that Shadow Spear is going to keep gaining them life, so maybe should have just swung in with the Mangara, but I think they would have blocked on something there. But then we would have gotten rid of a creature, so yeah, maybe should have just gone in with Mangara. We'll see what Yasova has for them. Alright, we're getting ourselves into the Arcane Signet and the Benevolent Offering again. And the Swiftfoot Boots is being destroyed by the Null Mage Advocate, which is really good because it switches on our Path to Exile, so we've got ourselves a game here now. Now, a Sword of Temptation. Are they just stealing the commander away? Because we might actually have to start concentrating on Valdrieg if they do that. And that's exactly what they're going for. The equipment is still on their commander, but Valdrieg doesn't have control over the Shadow Spear. The 7 Sins still has control of this, so he can re-equip that over here if he wants to. But 7 Sins is looking in a much worse position now, unless he can take control of his commander again. I dare say there might be a Homeward Path in here with the slight lands matter tactic that they might have gone for with their Radha. 6 cards in the Gruul player's hand now, thanks to the Hunter's Prowess from last turn. Oh, there's a Decimate on some of our stuff. I think that calls for a Teferi's Protection. We definitely want to keep the Cathar's Crusade. Not as worried about Oketra's Monument. We don't have too many creatures in the deck. We've actually got quite a lot of non-creature things that bring out tokens. But yeah, we definitely want to keep our Cathar's Crusade, so we can just F6 for the rest of the time. And with the Sword of Temptation going down, they are going to get their commander back, although it'll still be tapped with Summoning Sickness. Then it looks like this thing is being tapped in response, so they're going to sacrifice a creature. Yep, sacrificing the Radha, which can be cast still this turn thanks to the Gaia's Cradle, tapping for 2 mana. So the Mirren goes down for Val, as well as the Sword of Temptation, of course. They play a couple of lands there, I think. Or more than a couple of lands, thanks to Mina and Den, including a Command Beacon. So they can definitely get their commander out now if they want to. And there she is. Now playing a Gaia's Embrace. +3/+3 and trample, and you can regenerate it for a green, which they haven't held up. So, yeah, I think they could have just paid for that with Gaia's Cradle and this, couldn't they? And then held up the Tiger? I'm not sure. Maybe I'm misremembering the cards that they had untapped. Anyway, they can regenerate that now for a single green without tapping the Yavimaya Hollow. Once they have the mana, that is. First things first for us, we're going in for this Arcane Signet again, that Val so kindly gave us back. We may well lose Cathar's Crusade to this thing next turn. So maybe we don't Path to Exile until we absolutely need to, because they might still be scared of Radha and the Trample. So they might destroy this, or this thing also gives Trample. Yeah, not sure. I don't even know if we can maybe take out the 7 Sins this turn. Yeah, I think we can actually. If we give this player some Spirit Tokens, which, yeah, seems a bit counterintuitive, but yeah, we'll go for that. We'll go for Benevolent Offering again and make use of our Cathar's Crusade. And we can actually get rid of the 7 sins this turn, I think. So we'll give Val some more life and some more spirits. We gain some life ourselves. And then it's a bunch of plus counters on some spirits. And we'll hold up Midnight Haunting and the Path to Exile. Oh, actually, I've miscalculated there. I would have done things differently had I've known. Well, we can still go for Midnight Haunting. Yeah, I've miscalculated there, so I don't know if I would have done that, but still, we can take out the 7 deadly sins here. It just means that we're not holding up Path to Exile. But they decide not to block, so we'll go for the Midnight Haunting in response. That'll put a couple more plus counters on all of our stuff. And then we just have to keep our fingers crossed that there's no board wipes. So this isn't Spirit Tribal, but we seem to be doing quite a good job of playing a bunch of spirits. So there we go, taking out the 7 deadly sins, even though there was a mistake made that turn. And we've pretty much made use of Cathar's Crusade here, so even if they want to activate the Null Mage, they'll have to give us these things back in order to destroy the Cathar's Crusade. Oh, Xenagos, God of Revels comes out. Luckily they don't have any creatures that have too big a power and toughness. Not as big as ours anyway. I'm hoping to clear out these spirits next turn. Giving the buff to the Solemn Simulacrum. They've only got 2 cards left in hand. I don't know how much people have been playing around Mangara and not playing 2 cards in one turn. I think they were definitely not swinging into us as soon as this hit the field, which gives us a nice chunk of time actually, so yeah, I don't know how much people have been playing around it with regards to playing spells, but they definitely haven't been swinging in at us as much. Anyway, let's swing in. We'll just turn everything sideways in at our opponent. Blocking our commander with the Solemn Simulacrum, which makes sense, because they don't want to take commander damage. We'll still gain the 10 life. And then their spirits are blocking a bunch of our spirits. They're using 3 there to clear us out of 1 spirit. So in order to save that, we can go for Castle Ardenvale actually, which I think I'll do now. So that'll get us into a human, which will put a plus counter on all our stuff, and it'll save this one that has been triple blocked. Alright, then going for destroying that and giving us the token producers back. So we actually lose the spirit in combat now that's been triple blocked because the human came out after the Cathar's Crusade had been dealt with. Not to worry. We're going in for Burnished Heart this turn anyway. Our opponent draws into a card. They still have this thing held up, but they really don't want to give us Cathar's Crusade back. So as long as we don't fill the graveyard with a bunch of stuff they don't mind giving back to us, we should be alright. Go for Burnished Heart. And that gets us into a warrior with Vigilance. And then it's back over to our opponent, who will have 4 cards in hand after the draw step. And that is a Praetor's Council. Okay, so they are getting Avalanche Riders. The Sword of Temptation I'm going to hold on to Path to Exile for. I think we might get them next turn anyway. There's Solemn Simulacrum as well. They get Field of the Dead. I don't know if they've played a land this turn. They might have done. But getting all the cards in their graveyard back into hand. Double power and toughness onto the Null Mage, which they ought to hold back for blocking. And they do. So, yeah, we just need to see if we can take our opponent out this turn. Alright, we're getting to a Wrath of our own. I think we just turn everything sideways here, because they're going to block our commander. It's got the most power and its commander damage. The Midnight Haunting isn't going to do anything with Cathar's Crusade now, obviously, because it's in the bin. And they do block our commander, so I'm just going to be lazy and let Modo tell us if this is enough or not. Yeah, there we go. We take them down to -10. Not the flashiest game there, I don't think. The 7 Sins got off to a really quick start, but ended up with no cards in hand for a little while. The mono black player could have stayed in it for a lot longer, and I think Valdrig just got unlucky with draws there really. Had the game have gone on any longer, like it would have done in any other circumstance, that Praetor's Council would have got them back into the game, I think. And yeah, it was just lucky for us, I think. We didn't see a board wipe because we weren't getting into any of our card draw or anything. And we weren't drawing that many cards off of our commander, so a bit of a tricky one, I think. So yeah, not necessarily how games are going to go most of the time, but we'll try another game and see how it goes in the next one. Be sure to leave it a thumbs up and subscribe if you did enjoy this one. And if you want to see more from Mangara. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.